Hey, everybody, and welcome to the latest episode of Marketing Land Live. This is Marketing Land Live number 21 now. It is Friday, July 22nd, a little bit just after 12 noon on the East Coast in the U.S., just after 9 a.m. where I am. My name is Matt McGee. I'm the editor-in-chief of Marketing Land and SearchEngineLand.com. And we are here, as we are every Friday at this time, talking about the week that was in online marketing with the MarketingLand.com team and friends. And we have a full house this week of our crew and some good stuff to talk about. So why don't we get into the introductions? And let's see, if we go in alphabetical order, it would be Greg, Ginny, and then Tim. So you guys know the routine, right? Who you are, where you are, what you do. And the question of the day today is a simple one. Are you a cat person or a dog person? Greg, you are up first.
Okay. All right. Greg Finn. I am a correspondent here at Marketing Land and Search Engine Land, located out of beautiful Buffalo, New York, and cover a lot of social, some paid stuff, and have an agency on the side. So I am for sure a dog person, though I don't have anything against cats. I just have a dog that goes up, climbs a diving board, jumps into a pool, and I love it. So until I see a cat do that, I'll stay a dog person.
That would be a good viral video, right? All right, Ginny, you're up.
All right. Ginny Marvin. I live in Portland, Maine, and cover paid search and other paid topics on Search Engine Land and Marketing Land. And yeah, I'm a dog person. We don't have any dog at this point, but yeah, dog. Although I do like a friendly cat.
Those exist?
Yeah, they're rare, right? That's the problem.
So now you know how I'm answering the question.
Yeah.
All right, Tim, you're up.
I'm Tim Peterson. I'm based in Los Angeles. I cover social, and I'm both. I grew up with 4 dogs, but my girlfriend's a cat person. So we used to have a cat. Now we have 2 cats. They don't jump in pools. One of them takes showers, though. So
that's pretty cool.
That is pretty cool.
So I'm both.
All right. So I'm Matt McGee. I introduced myself already. I'm in Tri-Cities, Washington, and very much a dog person. We have had cats in the past, and one of them was the spawn of Satan, and the other one was really cool, but the first one kind of overshadows the second one. So very much a dog person. There we go. All right. So for those of you that are new, if you are watching on Facebook Live for the first time, watching on Blab for the first time, checking out the video replay, or listening to the podcast for the first time, this is a weekly show. We usually talk for 30 to 60 minutes, depending upon how much news there is to go over. Opinions are our own. They don't represent the entire company, Marketing Land and Search Engine Land. And of course, if you're watching live on Blab, we love getting props, which you do just by clicking the little hands down there, which is a way of sort of like the like button, I guess. So it's not a scoreboard, however. So why don't we dive right into, we'll do a roundtable segment where we have 3 or 4 topics that we talk about in some depth. Then we'll go into a lightning round where we just do some quick hits on a few things. And then we will wrap the show up after that. So as we go into the roundtable, topic number 1, Ginny, I thought this was probably one of the bigger pieces of news this week, which you covered on Search Engine Land, I think, yesterday or Wednesday? Yesterday, right? I've stumped her already. Wednesday. Okay.
Wednesday.
So
Wednesday.
the long it wasn't rumored. It was reported a while ago that Google was going to ban payday loan ads and high interest loan ads and that sort of stuff. And they said it was going to go into effect in July. I think it was July 13th or something. And then it actually didn't go into effect on July 13th. So what happened with all that?
Right. So yes, they said that they would start implementing the ban July 13th. They made this announcement back in May, and then people started noticing that ads were still showing for high interest and short-term payday loans. So Google actually they were about a week behind, or exactly a week behind. They started implementing the ban on this Wednesday, so a week late. But basically what's happening now is that you still may see some of these ads because it'll take a while for Google to purge all of the existing ads out of the system. But now basically you won't be able to upload new ads for any loans that are for the so-called payday loans, the short-term loans that have repayment due within 60 days or less. Those ads are no longer being accepted. And the same thing for high interest loans, interest rates higher than 36% or above.
Wow.
Those ads, types of loans will not be accepted either. I mean, and some of these loans have 1,000+% interest rates. So
It's insane.
yeah, it's yes. So there's been a lot of lobbying to get this done, and so it does only affect ads. It does not affect Google's not going to be changing organic listings as far as they've said at this point. So it's really just on the ad side. They won't be earning money from these kinds of predatory lending.
This is, I mean, this doesn't have any like noticeable impact on Google's income. It's not. I mean, it's not.
No, it's like
rounding. Yeah.
I mean, it's not inconsequential, but no. But for Google, this is not going to be seen on any earnings reports. So.
All right. Is Bing doing this as well?
No, Bing did though announce it's not taking ads from third-party tech support providers. So that also they announced that I believe also in May, and it's because there's been lots and lots of problems around companies, advertising support for things like Facebook login help. Password retrieval for your Hotmail account, things like that, services that don't exist. And so that Bing came out on that and said, no longer. So, but they haven't, the two engines haven't agreed.
Right, exactly. Greg, you do a lot. You do a lot of work in with paid search with your clients and such. What was your reaction with all this? What was your take on it?
Well, I think it's important to know that, any of these products, what most people would agree to be fairly horrific financial products, they're not illegal. So it's really kind of the preference to say that, you're just not allowed to do this. It's more of a opinion by Google, which most folks might say is the right opinion. But it's kind of a good example to say, let's maybe not build our entire business around AdWords. And we've had clients before where they may have a tool that is not necessarily against some kind of violations, but it can be declined anyway. So let's say daily fantasy sports, right? If you're saying, well, I'm going to start my business and I'm just going to, go purchase and acquire everybody in that direction, you may find yourself with all your eggs in one basket and out of luck when Google decides that they don't, like daily fantasy it's a betting product. Same with betting tools, things like that. So it's kind of just a good reminder that you're kind of at their whim a little bit, that they don't like payday loans. They don't have to show payday loans. You can't force them to show payday loans. So have different backup plans in place.
Yeah, and that's certainly been an issue on the organic side as well. A lot of, having worked with small businesses many times in the past, it's, we got to rank well on Google and let's put all our energy into ranking well on Google. And whether they actually get that or not, it can disappear any minute now. And then you're just toast. So yeah, that's, that's certainly a good warning there. Ginny, you had another, AdWords related article that caught my eye. These price extensions for the mobile text ads and the screenshot. On the in your article, and we'll put a link to the article in the show notes when we publish on Monday. The whole screen is one advertiser.
Yes, I saw one of these in the wild last night, and I could actually. This is a little exaggerated, the screenshot, but because it is cut off, I could see another ad below it. But for sure, this absolutely is a real estate hog. So what these are, they're price extensions, and they show the advertisers can set these up so it has, and in this example here is a hair salon, so there's an extension for women's haircut, another for men's haircut, and then the last one showing is kids haircut, and they have sort of short descriptions and then a price, starting price. And so this is now rolling out. You may find it in your accounts now, and if you don't, it'll show up soon. And basically, you don't have to be an e-commerce, as in this example. So you don't have to be an e-commerce advertiser to take advantage of these price extensions. And basically, if you have pricing information on your site and have a landing page you can link to, you can start using these. And I think it's going to be really interesting to see what happens here, because at this point, only the first ad on mobile is eligible. And again, these are just mobile only at this point too. So because these just eat up so much real estate on the screen, I think we're going to start seeing we're probably going to start seeing some interesting.
No, I was going to say, I mean, it sort of forces competition, and you have an opportunity to claim that much space with your ad, and then these, this extra information with the pricing and all that sort of stuff. I mean, if you're playing in a space where that's the kind of thing you offer, you're going to want to get on top of this.
Yeah. I mean, it's a huge. It just seems like a giant advantage for whoever gets that spot with those extensions. So I think is probably the biggest move that I can recall on the mobile side, to kind of really in play for that top spot. So it used to be you had to be in one or two to get an ad to show on mobile, and now that they show up to 4 ads on top in mobile. But this is a real sort of game changer as far as being able to dominate that space.
Yep, certainly looks like it. Anything else that we want to add on the Google AdWords side on either one of these two items before we move on to?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
So the only thing I would say is that you can find them if you're looking for these. That's under the Ad Extensions tab in that menu. If you haven't seen them yet in your account, that's where to look.
All right.
Yeah, and the amazing thing that I liked about this is that it's just an extension, as Jenny mentioned, where you don't have to set up this whole new product listing ad to get this to work. It's very much, you don't have to sell something online. The example they showed was that haircut. So you could say, I'm a restaurant and I just want to show about what the prices are for my menu. Before, you would have to get creative with some call outs or something like that. But this gives you this flexibility to inject price when people can't actually purchase online. So it's something that really goes a variety of ways. And I think it's a really awesome extension.
And I know I've said this before. We've been doing this show for 21 episodes now, so five months or so. And I know I've said this before, and I'm sure I'll say it again, but I love how Google or Facebook or Twitter, whoever it is, they continue to find new ways to squeeze money out of their AdWords products. It fascinates me. Let's do this now. Yes, that'll make more money. It just.
Right. Well, and get advertisers excited to pay more.
Yeah. I'd love to just sit in on some of those meetings where they throw ideas at the wall and say, let's see what would, if we did this, what would this have, what would the result be? Fascinating stuff to me. All right, let's move on to topic number 2. Couple Twitter items. Tim, you wrote about the Twitter NBA deal with some original exclusive content that is just going to be shown on Twitter.
Yep. Yeah, it's the first time that Twitter's gotten another company to produce an original show that'll air exclusively on Twitter. And it's a live show to boot, or 2 live shows. The NBA is going to produce a weekly pregame show and then some other show that they're not saying what it's going to be at this point.
So a pregame show, you mean? So it'll be before, like, well, what, they're on ESPN on Tuesdays, I think, or TNT.
Turner is Tuesdays and Thursdays. Yes.
Okay, so they're on. So when's it gonna?
They haven't said anything. No details on. I mean, it's in partnership with Turner, but I think it's more specific around NBA TV. So I'm not sure if it's going to be the Inside the NBA guys, which would be awesome. I would tune in to watch Charles talk about anything. Or
the first time Charles is on Twitter, right?
Yeah. So I don't know if it's going to be a game of the week type thing where they're going to pick the best game. The NBA has really been trying to push the idea of Saturday night games and really trying to own Saturday nights. So I don't know if they'll use this to that end, or whether it be a way to kind of sparkle a lesser game, like if the Kings are playing the Blazers one day.
Blazers were good this year.
Yeah. Okay.
The Blazers, is that a real team?
Yeah, Portland Trailblazers.
Oh, Trailblazers. Okay.
Not Blazers as in Jack.
Yeah, I was like, that's a really bad name.
So this I mean, Tim, Twitter's been saying for what, 6 months or a year now, or maybe even longer, that their focus is on live content, and this fits right in with that.
Yep, ever since Jack Dorsey became permanent CEO, live has been the thing that he's been rallying Twitter around. Twitter is for live. They did the NFL deal back in April to live stream every Thursday night football game, or to simulcast CBS's live streams and NBC's. And now they're going to have weekly live show from the NBA during the regular season. They also did a deal with Bloomberg, and so they're going to have some live shows or simulcasts of Bloomberg News' shows, like Bloomberg West. And yeah, they're trying, they're doing what they can. They got to keep up with Facebook, and YouTube's coming out next year, supposedly with some deals. So we'll see.
So what's the I guess the impact or the benefit for Twitter? I mean, long term, we know that Twitter's been struggling, just in terms of the quarterly reports come out and the user base isn't growing and all that sort of stuff. Does this kind of thing have a chance to change that?
Maybe. I mean, it remains to be seen how. Like, Twitter still has to figure out how exactly they want to present this experience. Like, they did a Wimbledon live stream a couple weeks ago that was basically their first test for live. It was okay. I mean, on desktop, it was basically on the left side of your screen, you had the video player with the actual live stream. And on the right side, you had a feed of tweets that Twitter's algorithm, identified as being related to Wimbledon. Obviously, some people were hijacking that and were able to get in with tweets that had nothing to do with it and that no one really wanted to see or have forced on them. And that's fine, but how is that going to work on a phone? And is that going to work on a phone where you're going to be squishing a football game that people are accustomed to watching on really big screens into a segment of a screen in order to also fit in the Twitter stream? And then if you fit in the Twitter stream, what if you want to also then tweet? How is Twitter going to divvy up the real estate? I don't know. We'll see. I don't imagine people are just going to start watching football on their laptops. I don't know how many people want to watch football on their phones or tablets. Personally, I like having football on big screen than having the phone in my hand if I want to tweet or see what people are tweeting about. But we'll see.
Yeah, that to me is the user case that I would envision, is that I'm sitting watching on my TV and then following along with the tweets, which I already do to some degree already, and obviously a lot of people do.
Right. Yeah. So I mean, we'll see. It's tricky product I mean, Yahoo, tried this last year. Again, it was okay, but Yahoo also has, ways to watch that stuff on a connected TV. Twitter doesn't right now.
Right.
Will Twitter roll out something?
Yeah, the interesting thing to me is if they're going after. I mean, you mentioned Bloomberg, and they already have the NFL deal, and I think they just signed a deal with the Pac-12 for some sports.
For some sports, for Olympic sports, is how they're coloring it, which is nice, but
Curling?
It's like swimming, which I would watch swimming because I'm into swimming, but it's also like baseball. Football is not on the table, and basketball is not on the table. When it comes to college sports, those are the two top sports.
Those are the two biggest. And then they have the NBA live show. They don't have NBA games. There were reports, I think, on Recode about possibly doing something with the MLS. The thing that stands out to me that's interesting if they're going after live sports is that it reminds me of what ESPN did in the late 80s, early 90s. I mean, ESPN started, I think, in the late 70s, 77, 78, somewhere around there, and was really through the 80s just sort of a blip on the sports radar. And it wasn't until they got live sports, it wasn't until I think they signed to college football first, and then they started getting NFL games in the early 90s. Once they got live sports, ESPN, started shooting up. And it seems, I don't know, just I think there's some sort of analogy in what Twitter is trying to do all of a sudden with live programming, recognizing that that's where advertisers want to be, that's where an audience is, and that sort of stuff.
Yeah, the tricky part for them is going to be a lot of the rights for the major sports, and even the digital rights are locked up with the TV networks for. I mean, some of them, I don't remember offhand, but I know when I was doing some research, some of them are locked up to like 2024, 2025. Mm-hmm. So if Twitter is going to want these live sports, sure, they can go to the league, but they're also going to need to get the blessing of ESPN or Turner or whichever TV network, CBS, has these rights. And those TV networks might say, okay, pay me, or, find some other way. Or they might say, Twitter, actually, no, we think you are a competitor or have the potential to be a competitor. We're not going to help you be even a better competitor.
Yeah, it's going to be an uphill battle, that's for sure. Greg, you want to
no, I was gonna on the show, the original content. I think that this network, the NBA in general, is the best case scenario for original TV. I mean, I've spent hours just watching Vines. Tim, you mentioned about on small things. If it's a highlighty kind of, basketball really works in that favor. Some of their just massive NBA Vine accounts out there and everything like that. So I think if it's gonna work with any network, it's gonna be this one. So at least they got that going.
Right, and I mean, a pregame show where it's a bunch of talking heads is a lot easier to watch on kind of any screen versus something where you have a court and you want to be able to see the full thing. It's like hockey. I was never really into hockey until I got a widescreen TV. Then I was like, oh, I can see the puck now.
Right. Exactly. All right, let's move on to topic number 3, which was another Tim story that I think was from last Friday that you published shortly before or after last Friday's show. And Tim, you did a pretty deep dive into some Facebook page data, working with News. Is it Newswhip?
Yep.
Right. And I guess the big number that stood out is that. From the story is native videos posted by publishers' Facebook pages, 268% more shares than just article links, which I sort of attests to the power of video on Facebook.
Yeah. So a little backstory on that one. So late last month, Facebook announced, hey, we're going to change the newsfeed algorithm again, which it does probably as often, if not more often, than Google changes its search algorithm and has people constantly on their toes. And this time it said, we want to be more, about friends and family. So if you're a page, your organic reach is going to be more dependent on how many people share your post in order to get into people's feeds. So, previously I might have, seen Marketing Land, articles in my news feed because I follow Marketing Land on Facebook. But going forward, I might not see those articles unless Matt or Jenny or Greg shares them to Facebook, and then I see that by extension. So I was really curious. Okay, what is this going to mean for what type of content publishers are going to be able to get into people's news feeds? What is the content that gets most shared? Is it videos? Is it photos? Is it article links? And is it article links that are posted by the page itself, or are they article links that people are just kind of sharing on their own? They go to marketingland.com. I like this article. Let me share it to Facebook, put it in a status update. And so I pulled a bunch of data from NewsWhip's analytics tool on the 15 most popular publishers' pages. And yeah, video won out very handily.
All right. And that wasn't, I mean, there's some other interesting data in there as well. Just comparing what publishers post themselves versus what you and I post from publisher websites.
Yeah, it was interesting because shares, it seems like it's going to be the primary signal, but likes and comments will be kind of a secondary signal. And when it comes to likes and comments, video actually isn't the best performing type of content. It's the best performing type of content coming from a page, but article links that people share on their own actually get more likes and comments on average than even native videos, which I thought was really interesting. So there's hope, maybe, for now.
All right. Greg, you have anything you wanted to add on any of that? Jenny, anything from what you guys were seeing there?
No, I just like the way that Tim visualized it. And you can go, if you look at that article, you can really see from the top that wow, people are sharing a lot of video. I thought it would be the opposite way, especially in this kind of, just with people trying to add and punch some things up on top of a different story. But, if it's a good video, people tend to share it, it looks like. And I like the way that you can really see commenting and likes.
Yeah, and in the first and the third charts where you're comparing the different types of posts, page posts that are just text only is like such a minuscule. It's like, and that used to be, years ago when I was working with small businesses that were on Facebook, that was like one of the things that we would advise them. Just go on your page and start a conversation, right? Like just type a question in or poll your audience and just try to get them talking. And it worked to some degree, but it's not working at all now, apparently.
Yeah, not at all. At least not for publishers. I didn't look at brands specifically or any other vertical,
right.
But for publishers, no.
Yeah, there's no sense posting just a plain text post. It's like off the charts terrible. So
unless you want to hide something, unless the
yeah, that's right.
Another site and then linking to that.
Yeah, there you go. All right, let's move on to our lightning round. There were a few things that caught our eye this week. Well, first there was a story that I did, so I think I did this on Tuesday. Slice Intelligence, which is a company that has, I think Ken told us, 4 million consumers in their sort of online panel that have agreed to allow Slice to anonymously track e-commerce receipts and emails and all that sort of stuff. And they also monitor about 400 of the biggest online stores. So they have a good sense of who's shopping and what stores they're shopping at, that sort of thing. So they came out with their Prime Day data on Tuesday with what I thought was a pretty amazing number, that 74% of all U.S. e-commerce on Prime Day happened on Amazon. It's just, I mean, if you think about that, 3 out of every $4 spent online in the U.S. that day was done on Amazon. But just that number just kind of blew my mind. So, wanted to pass that along. Ginny,
what's like the average on a non-Prime Day that Amazon gets?
38%, I think, is what they said.
Oh.
So almost double.
Oh,
just about double. Yeah, that number just like, wow. Blew me away. Jenny, your lightning round topic number 2, Google the AMP for ads.
Yes, AMP for ads is launched. So Google announced it at a DoubleClick event this week. And basically what that means is advertisers can also use the AMP HTML code for ads, same as also for landing pages, so that ads and landing pages load quickly on mobile. And Google provided a GIF showing how much faster AMP ads load than non-ad.
Yeah, it's worth watching that. It's worth watching that GIF for sure.
Yeah. Oh, you say GIF.
Yeah, great. Come on.
Well, I mean, that's the name of it. So absolutely.
Right now. All right.
We had this discussion like a month ago.
I know. Yeah, so that's interesting. And that's landing pages and ads. And then the other thing they announced, they had several announcements at the DoubleClick event, but earlier this season, I guess in May, Google had announced that they are going to be launching dynamic native ads, which basically pull, advertisers just give a headline, an image, and some description and a link, and Google will pull all that and create a native ad, in-stream native ad that can be inserted across its network of publishers. And so DoubleClick is now going to be, advertisers can buy those programmatically through DoubleClick now, DoubleClick Bid Manager. So it's sort of Google's first big foray into selling and native ad distribution outside of sort of app install.
Isn't that a long time coming? Like, didn't Google talk about that like 2-3 years ago? I feel like I was still living in the Bay Area when I heard about that.
I know, yes, and so we're finally here, getting caught up with native. But that was sort of the big news from the
right. Tim, you topic number 3 for the lightning round. You did some diving into Do Not Track because you were checking Hulu's changes to their privacy policy and their TOS and that sort of stuff. And my gosh, you just published this morning on Marketing Land. You looked at 14, I think was the number.
Yep.
And I read the story and I'm thinking, what's the point of Do Not Track?
Yeah, that's basically where I'm thinking too. I got an email, from Hulu. I use Hulu. So I got an email saying, hey, we've updated our privacy policy. Anytime a platform updates its privacy policy, I'm always really curious what the changes are. This one, Hulu has now decided to ignore Do Not Track requests, which interesting. I just kind of offhandedly tweeted about it, and it got a lot of attention, or a fair amount for an average tweet. And then I was curious, like, okay, well, where do other companies stand? Like, I know where a few of them have stood, but there wasn't any place that I was able to reference on like where each of them stand other than go into their respective privacy policies. So I just contacted 14 of them and checked the privacy policies for those that I didn't hear back from, and most of them, all but 4, ignore Do Not Track requests, or like Tumblr said, Do Not Track is not applicable to Tumblr, which I've been going back and forth with Tumblr about how they're responding. So.
Wow, that's kind of eye-opening that it's this supposed to be this great thing that sort of protects us and that sort of gives you privacy, but nobody, the big platforms are mostly ignoring it. So
yeah, I mean, their excuse for ignoring it is, oh, there's no standard on how we're supposed to respond to these things, which sure, there's not. That didn't stop Twitter, didn't stop Pinterest, didn't stop Reddit, didn't stop Medium from still responding to these Do Not Track requests. So is it that there's no standard, or there's no penalty for not responding?
And without a standard and a penalty, there's no interest in following it.
Although, I mean, some of these companies do have other opt-outs, like Facebook, Google, LinkedIn, AOL, Yahoo, Microsoft have ways where if you have registered accounts with them, you can opt out of this type of tracking, but it's a lot of legwork for people to do.
Yeah. All right. Last topic on the lightning round. Who got Twitter verified this week? Who tried to get Twitter verified this week? Did you guys even not try?
Well, no,
Go ahead, Jenny.
Well, one, I got confused on who was doing this. If we were doing this, and then, or if it was being handled at another level. So,
there's the back. Yeah, I mean, the backstory to that is, I mean, Twitter for at least a year, if not longer, has been verifying news organizations and journalists automatically. And I've actually, over the period of time, complained that there are some people that work for my little small town newspaper. They use Twitter about once a year, maybe. They have like 6 followers and they follow like 3 people, and they're verified because they work for the local newspaper. And I'm like, wait a second, Marketing Land, Search Engine Land, Third Door Media, we have this big staff. We're on Twitter all the time. We cover we're journalists. We should be verified. The blue check doesn't mean anything. I'd like access to the additional search and filtering options that verified users get. So we've been going back and forth with them for a while, like saying, how come, like some of these other tech marketing websites have their teams verified and we don't? And so it was a little sticking point with us. And so Danny was about to submit us for verification pretty much the same time that they opened it up this week. And so anyway, I submitted just to see what the process was like. And 6 hours later, I was verified, which was remarkable that it was so fast. And Barry Schwartz got verified, I think, within 10 or 12 hours after he submitted. And so I've been kind of looking, and they're adding so far like hundreds of people per day, hundreds of accounts per day. So
I tend to be a conspiracy theorist just in general in my life, but it seems like a lot of data about yourself you have to give up to Twitter to get a blue check mark, which if I'm Twitter, it's super smart because Twitter has gotten hammered over the years for not having that much data on its users, nothing like Facebook level. And this seems like a Trojan horse for Twitter to get that data. But I just, like, for me personally, I don't get the value exchange. It seems really good for Twitter. For me, cool, I get a blue check mark. You know what? If you think I'm fake, you can at me. I'm not an egg. Like,
exactly. Yeah. When I was submitting, I had to add my birthday to my account, which just struck me as odd. But I also had to send in a photo or a scan of my driver's license or some sort of, legal identification, which really made me nervous. I'm like, I'm not in the business of photographing my driver's license and putting that on the internet. So, you're uploading it, you're sending it securely to them. So I'm sure that the birthday and the driver's license is to verify who you are. And I covered up my driver's license number, covered up there was some sort of legal code at the bottom that I thought, I don't know what that is, but I need to cover it. So it just showed my photo, my name, and my street address is basically all they got on the driver's license. And I sent that in, and that was good enough. And then once I got the blue check mark, I took my birthday out of my profile because nobody needs to know when my birthday is. So
but do you think that they took your birthday out of their database?
I have no idea.
Like it's weird to me because Facebook with when they verify pages for public figures, it's nowhere near like this. They don't like I did it last year, and they were just like, hey, we just need you to make a page. The hardest part was coming up with a vanity URL for the page. Everything else was just like I didn't have to give any information. Granted, Facebook already has way too much information about me. So.
About all of us, yeah.
It just driver's license photo. That's just intense.
Yeah, that really. I was not a big fan of that. Like I said, so I covered up everything but my photo and my street address. So, Yeah, I'm hoping there's no nasty stories about all that. So, all right, shall we wrap things? I think we've been going about 40 minutes or so. So why don't we wrap things up with what's coming up? So very soon we have earnings coming out next week. Apple, Twitter, Facebook, Google /Alphabet, and Amazon all next week. So we'll be reporting them. I should also mention we have SMX East coming up in late September, September 27th through 29th in New York City. And the reason I pass that on is that the super early bird rates for that end tonight. So check twitter.com/SMX or just at SMX on Twitter. They will have some tweets today and recently this week that will have links to register to get that super early bird discount. So there you go. That is what's coming up. Why don't we say goodbye? Where can people find you? We'll go back in the same order. Greg, Ginny, Tim, where can people find you?
At Marketing Land, Search Engine Land, and at Greg Finn on Twitter.
Jenny?
Ginny Marvin on Twitter.
I am Peterson TEE on Twitter, Instagram, and Snapchat.
All right, and I am at Matt McGee on Twitter, best place to find me. You can find our websites, as Greg mentioned, at Marketing Land and at S Engine Land on Twitter, facebook.com/marketingland, facebook.com/search engine land. We're on Blab, as you know, and you can also find our podcast. Just do a search for Marketing Land on iTunes or Google Play Music, and you will find the audio from this show every week, and it'll get downloaded right into your device, and you can listen on the go as you drive to and from work or whatever. So, Greg, Ginny, Tim, thank you very much for joining in today. Thank you to everyone who tuned in live on Blab. Thanks to folks on Facebook. And for those that are listening to the podcast or watching the video replay later, we will see you again next Friday. Bye-bye.
Adios.
Thanks.